Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, and this is my show called What's New 2024, where I talk about new albums that came out in the world of metal, rock, and prog music. And this week, I'm going to talk about 5 new releases that came out. They all came out on July 26th, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference. This week wasn't as strong a week as most other weeks. There was one that I put in my very good tier, so I'll talk about that first. 3 that I'll call good, and 1 that I just put in my average tier. The very good one for this week is Category 7 with their self-titled album. This is a heavy metal album with some thrash metal and groove metal influences. It's the debut album by this American supergroup that features Armored Saint and former Anthrax frontman John Bush on vocals, features Phil Demmel on guitars, former Machine Head guitarist, Adrenaline Mob guitarist Mike Orlando, Exodus bassist Jack Gibson, and Overkill and Shadows Fall drummer Jason Bittner. This is very modern sounding, groovy heavy metal with thrash metal influences, with all clean but very powerful vocals for fans of Adrenaline Mob, Whom Gods Destroy, Sons of Apollo, and Symphony X. The vocals remind me a bit of Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden mixed with Dino Jelicic from Whom Gods Destroy. So check it out if that sounds appealing to you. It's just really well executed heavy metal music. Has a nice blend of modern sounds and also kind of classic metal sounds too as well. And just great guitar playing, just great riffing and groove and heaviness to it, but nothing like extreme metal or anything like that. Just kind of gritty, balls to the wall metal. Next up, I'm going to talk about Cory Wong with Metropole Orkest, conducted by Jules Buckley, and their collaborative album called Starship Syncopation. This is an interesting one. I put it in my good category. It's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. This is instrumental funk with soul, jazz, rock, R&B, and classical influences all mixed in. And it's a collaborative album. It features American guitarist, songwriter, and producer Cory Wong, the Dutch jazz orchestra Metropole Orkest, and then English conductor, composer, and arranger Jules Buckley. It's very fun and joyous instrumental funk, which is not a genre I commonly listen to, but I checked this out because I heard in a group chat from Christian, a guy who I recently did a collaborative video with over on Kyle from All Media Reviews YouTube channel. I heard from him that it was the best album he heard this week, so I decided to check it out. I really enjoyed it, but I just don't know enough about this style of funk, instrumental funk, to know how it compares to other music in that style. I thought it was good, not my main style, but maybe I'll explore more instrumental funk in the future. Or maybe if I find stuff that, if there's music that you know of that sounds like this, but that has great vocals over top of it as well, let me know, because I kind of like music with vocals more than instrumental stuff. Thirdly, I want to talk about State Faults and their album Children of the Moon. This is the 4th album by this American band. It's post-hardcore with punk, emo, screamo, and progressive influences in there. Another one I'm putting in my good tier. I heard the early single Blood Moon ahead of the release, and I always love hearing post-hardcore songs when they have odd time signatures. This one has 7 beats per bar, and it changes time signature as well. I love this time signature changes to 4/4 and that progressive influence in there. The screaming on this album is pretty intense, so you have to be ready for that screamo style of vocals. The whole album pretty much continues that sound. There are also melodic vocals on here too, and there are some catchy parts. It's good, but it's nothing too groundbreaking, and likely not one that I'll go back to very, very often. And last one in my good tier for this week is an EP by a band called Kaonashi, and the EP is called The Second Chance at Forever, The Brilliant Lies from Casey Diamond. This is another post-hardcore one. It's got some progressive metal and gent influences, also some kind of pop punk, really catchy vocals. Another one I'm putting in my good tier, and I checked this out because I heard the early single Blood Red Camry Dance Party, which is a crazy song title that caught my attention. And it's got really catchy, almost pop punk vocal lines with a lot of vocal harmonies. And the whole EP continues that sound as well and is a fun listen. But again, likely not one that I'll go back to much. And lastly, I want to talk about an album by Nick Krueger called 2024. This is instrumental experimental electronic music. And I'm putting this in my average tier. I really just listen to this because I follow Nick Krueger's music. But the reason I follow him is not for this style of music. I follow him because I like his progressive black metal / black gaze project called The Chemical Mind. Instrumental experimental electronic kind of dark ambient music like this with a lot of noise mixed in is really not my style. I respect its artistry, but it's something I struggle with listening to. So this album 2024, if you like that kind of style, then you might enjoy it. A lot of his other recent work released under his name has been this instrumental, experimental, electronic, and dark ambient music. Really not my style at all. There's a lot of what I find kind of irritating and pointless ambient noise on here, but there are a few very cool ideas mixed in. My favorite track on my first listen, and let's be honest, probably my last listen, was called Don't You Feel Weird Now That You've Seen It. It had a cool, catchy loop part for a while. I did notice some of these tracks have odd time signatures to them, like I counted 7 on the song Public Computer. That makes it slightly more interesting for me to listen to from a academic and curiosity perspective, and I can imagine that understanding the composition here by Nick Krueger and how this was made and the production techniques behind the whole album, that could be an interesting thing to learn about from a curiosity perspective as well. But just as a listening experience, it is kind of like listening to electronic dance music, except you can't really dance to it because it's too weird. And there's a lot of like odd noises that seem random and pointless, but perhaps I don't understand it and they make sense to the artist. I definitely respect Nick as an artist and love that he just makes whatever he wants. But I keep checking out his music out of curiosity, but I'm really just hoping he makes more stuff in the style of his project that he calls The Chemical Mind, the more progressive black metal and black gaze stuff that I want to hear from him. So hopefully, Nick, if you watch this video, hopefully you know that I love the Chemical Mind, respect your electronic stuff, but it's not really for me. Hopefully you make some more stuff for the Chemical Mind in the future, and I'm really looking forward to it. And that's it for my thoughts on these 5 albums that came out recently. Let me know what you thought about these, if you've heard these down in the comments, or if you end up checking them out based on what my description here. Let me know if you like them. And what else came out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And if you want to stay in the loop on new stuff that's coming out in the world of metal, rock, and prog music, definitely hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. I post videos like this weekly with my first impressions of albums that came out, and probably my next video will be my top 10 favorite albums of July, so stay tuned for that. Until then, peace out.